Now everyone, it's time to spread a bit of movie cheer. Halloween looms in Movie Cheer Town, and the celebrations of horror and spooky movies are on the way. But one soul in this jolly place doesn't like to celebrate Halloween with a bit of movie cheer. This individual hides away from the other town folk, plotting against them, with one goal of destroying the town's positive spirit for good. This cursed soul goes by the name the Ghoulish Mean Cheer. And tonight, for the Movie Cheer Podcast Halloween Special 2022, foolishly, Mr. Movie Cheer has invited Mean Cheer on the pod to host the show, with hope his soul will be saved. Welcome to the Movie Cheer Podcast Halloween Special 2022. I am your host, the Ghoulish Mean Cheer. That's right, Mean Cheer. Movie Cheer, Mr. Movie Cheer has given me the opportunity to host the special today. And I cannot wait to discuss some Halloween and horror movies on today's episode. But now I must switch to my podcast voice. That's a bit better. There we go. So we got a podcast voice. I am the Ghoulish Mean Cheer, not to be mistaken with Mr. Movie Cheer of Movie Cheer Town. We get mistaken a lot in Movie Cheer Town. People say we look a bit alike, but rest assured, I am very different. We're very different people. We're actually, I think, like third cousins down the line. We've got some sort of like blood in each other there, but we're definitely not the same person. But yes, I am Mean Cheer, and today it is the Movie Cheer Podcast Halloween Special 2022. And on this episode today, I will be discussing some horror movies, some comedy, some Halloween movies. I've got two movies to discuss. One will be Abbott and Costello's Meet Frankenstein. And next, after that, I've got The Fog, John Carpenter's The Fog movie. So it'll be a Halloween double bill of movies today for today's headline topic. But as always on the show, Mr. Movie Cheer, he gave me some notes, Movie Cheer. He said that every week on the show, we normally discuss what's going on in Movie Cheer Town in a segment called Not So Worthy Blockbuster Housekeeping. Apparently, this is a part of the show where we discuss the Movie Cheer Town community, what's going on with the channel, with the podcast. I'll be honest, as the Ghoulish Mean Cheer, I am not wanted by this community. They despise me. They point at me and they say, he's mean. He's a big meanie, that guy. But I'm willing today to put all them feelings aside, to one side, to discuss what is going on with the Movie Cheer Town community. So, first of all, the latest video on the channel, latest video this week was Movie Cheer had two new additions to his movie room, and he was discussing what was going on. He had he had two autograph signatures. I've just spoiled it there, but I don't care because I'm Mean Cheer. And basically he was just talking about them in his new movie room. They look pretty cool as well. I like the look of them. If I had a movie room like that, I'm obviously just staying in his room today. This is his lure. I have the Mean Cheer lure, which is much better. But that's a cool video, and it's had a lot of input from the community. A lot of people getting involved in the comments, which is great to see. And so that's been the latest video on the YouTube channel this past week. And Movie Cheer did also say that he was glad to come back last week, and he really enjoyed it, and he had a great time. And he said he was gutted that he couldn't host this week's edition, but he said, the best person was hosting this week. He he knows his stuff, Movie Cheer. I think I respect him for that. He knows that Mean Cheer should be doing the Halloween specials from now on. New themes. I've got notes here. New themes on the video. So on the video as well this Thursday, last week on the show there was a new theme song, original theme song for the show, just a little silly jingle. I think it was pathetic, really. I think it wasn't really that much effort to it. I think he's a bit of a lousy musician, to be honest with you, Movie Cheer. But some people may like it, and some people have said they like these new themes. There was a new one on the main video on Thursday, which was a different rendition of it, a more dark, a synthesized, John Carpenter, like Kavinsky, rendition of that theme as well. And I think that's going to be the running theme now. Some like alternative variant versions on that Movie Cheer theme throughout other videos, and just thrown in here and there. So that's cool to see as well. What else has been going on? Well, on if you're new to the Movie Cheer Town and to the Movie Cheer podcast, we have the YouTube channel, the podcast. Also, there is a website called moviecheerpodcast.com, and this is updated weekly. There's a new blog post every single Wednesday, and this past week's blog post was about Black Adam, the new Black Adam movie starring The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, and it's discussing that movie and just generally discussing what his future will be within the DC extended universe. I think it was a really decent movie. I'm going to discuss that later on in the show, Black Adam, in a bit more detail as well. But yeah, if you want to read about that, I will link in that blog post below as well if you want to check it out. But yeah, it's well worth a read if you enjoy that film and you're into your DC movies. Last bit of not-so-worthy blockbuster housekeeping before we get into the headline topic of today's show. Patreon this past week, every Monday on Patreon, there's a new piece of original bonus content. It could be a video, a bonus podcast, bonus commentary, audio commentary. New content every Monday. You can join Patreon from $1 up, it is. And you can check it out there like that. So it's well worth checking out if you're interested in Patreon, you're interested in getting a bit more Movie Cheer content, and it's there if you want it. And yeah, that's that. Anyway, that's it for the not-so-worthy blockbuster housekeeping for today's show. Let's move on to today's headline topic. The Movie Cheer podcast presents the headline topic for the episode.
Remember to spread a bit of
headline topic. Headline topic.
Remember to spread a bit of movie cheer.
So today's headline topic, it is a Halloween special double feature. As I said at the start of the show, I'll be discussing two movies. The first one will be Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. The second one is The Fog. I will just say in advance, if you've not watched either of those movies, I'm going to give you plenty of spoilers here. And, you're lucky because I am Mean Cheer. You're lucky you're getting that spoiler warning, but lesson learned, going forward, there will be spoilers potentially for these movies. So, let's start off with the first one. Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. A 1948 movie, black and white movie, starring, duo of the time, Bud Abbott and Lou Costello. Think, these are your Laurel and Hardy acts, this sort of very similar act. And I'll say, I found out about this movie only this week. I'd heard the name, I'd heard the name Abbott and Costello before. But it was just the name, it was infinite. It could have been just one person, like Abbott, Mr. Abbott. Maybe I thought it was Albert and Costello or something like that. But yeah, Abbott and Costello. I heard about this through a podcast I actually listened to called Tell 'em Steve Dave, and they were doing a Halloween special this past week, and they were doing it based around this movie. And I thought, I'm going to check out this movie, and ended up checking it out. Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, and you know what? I thought it was a really interesting watch, and I'm obviously going to get into a bit more detail on it now. So basically, the plot of the story, what is it? Let's just say we got Lou Costello and Bud Abbott. Lou and Bud, basically, they are they work for a courier service, and they get delivered these 2 coffins, and they're going to go to this house of horrors. They're getting delivered to this house of horrors, and they're kind of like warned off the fact that these 2 coffins they hold the corpses of Dracula and the monster of Frankenstein. And they're told this early on. It's kind of, these ain't real. These are not real. And then we soon find out later on in the story that it is true. This is like the corpse. These coffins hold the corpse of Dracula and the monster of Frankenstein's monster. And this movie actually stars, which is really cool. I'm going to get into this now. It stars Bela Lugosi, who plays Dracula in the original Universal Pictures monster movie, Dracula. Glenn Strange, who played Frankenstein's monster in them Universal horror movies. And Lou Chaney plays Talbot, who reprises his role as the Wolfman, who played the Wolfman, I think it was in a 1940 Wolfman movie. So they got all them stars back for this comedy horror movie, and I just think that's really cool that they did that, Abbott and Costello. And I think, this is an American duo, Abbott and Costello. I think they were pretty big at the time, by the sounds of it, from what I've heard. I've spoken to family members who would watch them at the time, and they said they were, these were a big act. And I think in America as well, by the sounds that they were a very big act as well. Let me know what your thoughts are. Did you watch these movies when they first came out? What are your thoughts on that? Or growing up, what did you think? And Abbott and Costello, are they like a big act to you, or are they kind of like an unknown name? Because to me, they were very much an unknown name. But they've done a ton of these films. Like they've done the Abbott and Costello Meets Invisible Man, and tons of other movies. But yeah, so they get the corpses, they deliver them, and then basically we see the plot move along forward, and then basically Dracula wants to steal Lou's brain and to put it in Frankenstein's brain so he can control him, because he's kind of a bit silly, a bit stupid in this movie, so he can control the monster of Frankenstein. And that's the basic plot of this movie, and then it's like them trying to like suss out that these are them, Dracula and the monster of Frankenstein, and then we just see this story move on. So, honest opinion of the movie, I think it is. On the podcast I listened to, Tell 'em Steve Dave, it was described as like a warm fuzzy blanket. And you know what? I was watching this and I thought, you know what? It is like a warm fuzzy blanket. It's just got that. Something about this movie, never watching it before, put it on, and it was just like, it's not a movie that I'm like chuckling, like laughing my head at, but it is just, there's certain bits on it, it's like, someone falls over, there's like, Lou's got this like outrageous laugh, and he's just like doing daft things all the time. He's got a laugh like, "Ah!" like that. Like that, and it just like little things like that. It just cracks me up, and it's just like there's moments in this movie, like for instance, there's a moment I really enjoyed where they go down into Dracula's castle, into the basement. They found like this secret door. They go down these staircases, and then there's like a secret wall, and they push through this wall, and it's like one of them spinning walls, kind of like, like a bit maybe like the original Batman show. I think they probably had stuff like that in that show. Spinning wall, and then they go into this like basement. Lou's in this basement, and he's looking around, and then you see Frankenstein just, like unconscious, sitting on this big chair. And Lou is just like, he's about to sit down, and he doesn't realise Frankenstein's on this chair behind him. And he just sits down, and he's like, just like putting his hand around, and he's like, he feels this hand. And then he looks behind him, and it's Frankenstein. And then he just runs, and then he's running around this building then, and then he sees Dracula, and he's chasing him as well. And it's just so silly. It's just like you got Dracula and Frankenstein chasing this man around this cave, and then they keep on like going through this secret wall door, and then he says to Bud, it's like, they're right behind me, and then he keep on like spinning around, and each of them are on the separate sides. The wall keeps on spinning, and then he's like, they were in here, and then they were on the other side of the door, and it's so silly, but it makes me chuckle. There was a lot of moments, like I said, it wasn't laugh out loud, but it just made me chuckle. And then, like I said, it was described on the podcast I listened to as a warm fuzzy blanket. I just enjoy. It felt like a kind of like a hot chocolate movie. It's very comforting watching this. It was just like something you can watch. I think if you watch this on Halloween evening, you watch this and it would just be something. It's very pleasant. It's nothing too hard to watch. You don't really have to follow the story. It's silly. You know the premise. They're trying to steal Lou's brain. And that's the premise of the story. But I enjoyed it. I think it was really good. For a movie that is, 70 years old? Over 70 years old now? That is, I think it was a really, really well made. And I really enjoyed it. Other parts of the movie I enjoyed, we see they're in the woods, and basically Bud Abbott he's got like a Wolfman mask, and Talbot the Wolfman is helping them to reveal that Dracula is Dracula. But we see in the woods then, Lou goes in the woods and he sees the Wolfman, and he thinks it's Bud Abbott with the mask on, and he just starts just slapping him about and kicking him up the backside, and then no idea that it's actually the Wolfman he's doing it to, not his friend Bud Abbott. And again, that was another little bit part of the movie that made me chuckle. And at the end of the movie, you've got Frankenstein chasing both Abbott and Costello down, and they're in the house in the castle, and then he gets like a dinner table cloth, and he puts it around. No, I think he does that, or he puts a jacket around him and does like the classic like Dracula cape thing. And then he starts like saying something to Frankenstein, like go back, stand back. And then he says to Buddy, he thinks I'm Frankenstein, and then he just blows his cover just because he's so silly. He blows his cover. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I think it was something very, very just a comforting movie to watch, and something just different to watch around Halloween. Nothing too heavy. It reminds me. Put it in a boat with like a Carry On movie, like a Carry On Screaming. Like that sort of vibe of a movie. And yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was really good. I'd be interested to watch a few more Abbott and Costello's movies now, just out of, I think a lot of them are probably going to be the same, very easy to watch, not a heavy plot, just something like just comforting, a hot chocolate of movies. That's what it is. But what I really did like as well, not that I've watched their movie. I'll be honest, I've never watched the original Universal horror movies like the Dracula. That's one on my movie watch list. Me and Movie Cheer, we have the same movie watch list, and we're going to watch the movies together at some point. But yeah, I've never watched the original Dracula or the Frankenstein movies or anything like that. I think it's so cool because you imagine it's 1948, and then you get this Abbott and Costello movie from this comedy duo you really love, and then you've got all of these horror icons. Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, the Wolfman, all coming in for this comedy duo's movie, and I think it's brilliant. So after this, they did there is a teaser at the end of this movie where you see the Invisible Man. Well, you don't see him anyway, and that's teased. And they do eventually do Abbott and Costello meet the Invisible Man. I don't know if that was the direct sequel after this, but yeah, that was that one. But yeah, Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein. I really enjoy this film. I think it's well worth watching. If you're looking for something not too heavy to watch around Halloween time, definitely give this a try. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, like I was watching this. So the second movie I'm going to discuss today. Let's move on to movie numero 2. And the second movie is John Carpenter's The Fog. The Fog was released in 1980. And, John Carpenter, hugely successful director of horror movies, horror, science fiction. You got your Halloweens, your They Live, Escape from New York. One I really, really enjoy. This movie stars Jamie Lee Curtis, Tom Atkins, Janet Leigh. So Jamie Lee Curtis's mother, who Janet Leigh, everyone would know her from Psycho. She stars in this as well in more of a minor role. Adrienne Barbeau, I think it is. I think she was actually in the cast of Grease. I couldn't picture in my brain who she was in Grease. I've got to watch Grease now again just to clarify who she was, because I can see her face, but I'm like, who was she in Grease? I just can't picture her face in Grease for some reason. But basically, let's talk about the plot of The Fog. It's set in this like a fishing town called Antonio Bay, and they're celebrating 100 years of the town existing. Like, it's come up to the 100-year birthday of the town. And we see early on in this story, like, some weird things going on, like at the stroke of midnight, like things going off buildings, lights not working and stuff like that. And we see that the priest of the town basically find this journal. And there's a journal from his grandfather, who was one of the founders of the town. And in this journal, his grandfather reveals that the founders of the town, killed this ship full of. I think there's a ship full of people who have leprosy, and they were going to set up a colony within the town. They weren't happy about that, and they ended up killing all of the crew of this ship. And then basically they stole the gold, what they had on the ship, and they used the gold to kind of like launch the town, the Antonio Bay. And 100 years later now, the crew that they killed are coming back for vengeance, and they want to take vengeance upon the town people who... Obviously, all them original founders are all dead, but they want to take it out on the people who live in the town now. So you've got these ghosts coming back, these ghost pirates, and they come through this mysterious fog. It's like this glowing fog that it moves in like mysterious waves. It doesn't move like with normal weather patterns. And like when you see the fog coming, it's kind of like Jaws. You see this fog, and it's like going over buildings or going in buildings, and then you see like they kind of like arrive when the fog goes up around, like say a house, and you hear like this big bang on the door. And we see it a few times in the movie where like someone will go and answer the door, and then they'll just like, you'll see like these sort of like thriller music video, thriller like pirates, like these undead pirates just grabbing people and just taking them out and killing them. And they want to like kill so many. I think it's like 6 people they want to kill, and it's very like a very eerie movie, very eerie at times. So that's the plot of the movie. Let's talk about some of my favorite parts. Well, first of all, I want to say, is it my favorite John Carpenter movie? Definitely not. Definitely not. It's not that I didn't enjoy this, but for me, I'd say like They Live and Escape from New York are up there as my favourites. There's still a lot of Carpenter movies I've still got to watch, but this one, it's a very strange one. I think it's like maybe something I need to watch a few times over to take in fully and maybe appreciate it a bit more. But I'm watching this, and it's like a very slow build of a movie. Watching this, I'm watching it, and it's like it is a super slow build, and it feels like the pace of this movie doesn't really pick up until like the last 30 minutes of the movie, really, when you see the pirates. And even then, it's not like, again, it's a very slow ending and very, like, it just happens. The ending just happens, and it just feels like it's done. It doesn't really, it's a very slow, but I think it's what this movie is about for me is like building the atmosphere and the fear of what this fog is. What is it? Because you don't really see them like until like later on in the movie fully. Like near the end, you see them fully. The villains of this piece, the antagonist. But like early on when we first see them, Davey, you just see them like with these swords killing this crew of fishermen, and you don't see the faces then. It's all like black silhouettes. You don't really see much. And then, like I said, near the end, you see the faces, like they got like these glowing eyes, and then you see the undead bodies. And in the end, the priest gives this golden cross to them, and he says, take it, and then they take the cross, they vanish, and then what is cool, one of my favourite moments of this is at the very end, you think they're gone. They give him the gold, and the priest survives, and then he's like, yeah, you think it's all calm, it's all back to normal. And then at the very end of the movie, we see the priest going into like his office, and then you see the leading pirate, the leading of this like undead pirates, just come out of nowhere with a sword, and just like it just ends with him killing the priest, which I think is really cool because you think it's all over, and then it's like there's a tiny bit more, which I really like that. It was like, because I was watching at the end, I was thinking, that's it, that's the movie, and then we see that final bit where obviously the priest just gets killed, but when then it goes to the end credits. But yeah, I think it was a good movie. I think the atmospheric feel of this movie is good. I don't think it's Carpenter's best, but I think, for a Halloween movie, this is a solid Halloween movie. The music is a big part of this. I mean, a lot with John Carpenter's movies, he does the scores, he composes the music for these movies. And this is another great one, another 80s, very synthesized, and a mix of synthesizer and piano. So you have like two different themes. You have like a piano theme, which is very like, just like this very dark, like very like a very minor key symphony sort of like, but just a piano, just like, not a symphony, just like a piano melody. This dark, very sad, emotional melody. and you hear it over like tones where there's like in moments where they're kind of like calmness moments, but then you see scenes when like the fog is coming and the fog is like going around the town, this big fog, and you see like, it must have been tons of smoke machines on the set of this movie. You see the fog going around, and then you get like this other part of the score then where it's like this synthesizer track, and I noticed this at the end where it felt like, I'm pretty sure it was just like one note going do 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 do. If I'm sure it was one note, there might have been maybe like small little changes, or it was going like octaves and stuff, because there was one bit where it was just going like from a low note to the high note, and it was just going do do do, just like with this synthesizer. But in these action scenes and these sort of like high intensity moments, you get this really synthesized bass sound, and then at the end you're getting all these like drums and stuff going in the background, and it's just so simple, but it really does add to the atmosphere, and really creates an edge of like fear for this movie, because you're seeing this fog, and you don't really know what is there, what's coming, and what's going to happen, and it's coming and it's spreading around these buildings, it's chasing people down. And it is scary, and it really does build the tension excellently with the fog effects and just with the music. It just blends really well together. I'm talking about that actress Adrienne Barber. She plays the radio host of this movie, and she's in this like lighthouse tower. She's doing like the weather reports, and she's like the first one who kind of cottons onto this fog being something that it shouldn't be. And we see at the end of the movie, she's getting chased down by some of these ghosts as well. And she climbs to the top of this lighthouse, and she thinks like she's at the top of this, no one's going to get her out, there's no way they could climb. And, really scary moment, we see like the hand, it's like looking down, it's like a really close-up shot of this ladder, top of this ladder, she's at the top of it, and then you see the hand coming up the ladder. I thought, that is excellent. It's like, she thinks you would think, I'm watching this and think, oh, she's safe, and then you see that, the pirates coming up, and I thought, oh, that was brilliant. But yeah, I think it was a really good movie. I think I would say with this movie, it builds tension excellently. I think this is a movie you're going to need probably one or two watches, so I'm definitely going to give this another watch soon. But I'm liking it. I'm a big John Carpenter fan of the movies I watched. Like I said, there's tons I've still got to see. I've only seen the first Halloween movie, the very first one, so I've still got to watch a load of Halloween movies. But yeah, I think it was really excellently done, and just the fact they used this idea of fog and just these fog effects, just basically think of like a big fire extinguisher going off, a big massive one, and it's just like that's the effect they use, and they created fear from that, and just creating mystery and silhouettes to very simple stuff, filmmaking, but with the music and the stylistics and the visuals of John Carpenter, he created a good horror movie here that really does create a sense of fear for the audience watching, I think. And I think it's a really good one to watch for Halloween. So that is it for the two movies, the two features, the Halloween features I'm discussing on today's show. And that's it for today's headline topic. Let's move on with the rest of today's show.
Case covers take on other case covers. Can you handle that? Case cover collision. Case cover collision.
Case cover collision. Each and every week, Movie Cheer chooses a movie and looks at the different case covers available for that movie and puts them up against each other to choose which one is the best. And today on Case Cover Collision, the Ghoulish Mean Cheer, will be taking over the judging, and I'll be looking at the Game of Thrones spin-off show House of the Dragon, and the three different covers. So we got the DVD, the Blu-ray, and the 4K case covers here. And I'm just going to say a bit about the show first of all. I've watched I'm behind a bit on this show, so I've watched a couple of, I think I'm about 4 or 5 episodes in. But I've not really, it's just one of the shows that I've just lost track of, but I have really been enjoying what I've been watching from that. I think it's a really good show. I really enjoyed Game of Thrones as well. I think I know some people went a bit sour on that at the end, but I personally enjoyed it, all the show, and I even like the ending, personally, but everyone, each to their own, isn't it? But yeah, House of Dragon, I've enjoyed it so far, and you can pre-order now on Amazon the case covers for those, and I will put in some Amazon affiliate links below if you want to check out them links. feel free to, you can purchase through them links. I must say, a small percentage of any sales through them links will go to supporting the Movie Cheer podcast, and so I appreciate if you do purchase through them links. But let's get to it anyway. So first of all, I'm going to start off with the DVD case cover of House of the Dragon. So we got the main female protagonist character here. You know what, I honestly can't remember her name now because I've not watched it in a few weeks. So this is the young version of this character, because I know they kind of like switch it up later on, where she is basically one of the Targaryens anyway. Basically, you've got her in the center of this. She's in like this red dress, and then you got behind her, you've got like a big look of the dragon, face on, front and center, looking center as well, same as her in the backdrop, and it looks like it's like the steps going up to the Iron Throne here as well. She's kind of like, the Iron Throne must be, it looks, I don't know if the Iron Throne is, no, it's not actually featured on this as far as I can see. But it's very dark colours here. You've got like some fire, some flames at the bottom of here. You know, it's the House of Dragon, it's fire, it's dragon. And yeah, I like this. It's very simple. You've got the text of this, and it's very, you know, the Game of Thrones style text for your Game of Thrones at the top, a very small text, and then you got House of the Dragon in the centre as well, just below this Targaryen princess as well. And you know the show, you know it's got dragons. You're looking at this, if you don't know the show, you're going to look at it and think, wow, this looks like some like fantasy, medieval sort of thing, and you'd be right in thinking that. And I like this cover. It's simple. It does what it needs to do for this show. Let's now move on to the Blu-ray cover of House of the Dragon. Blu-ray cover is kind of like very similar, just a bit more, I'd say a bit more simpler, a bit more minimalist, this one. So you've got this female character again, the same dress, but this time she's looking side on. She's at the bottom this time. The placement is at the bottom. You've got like the fire at the bottom again, kind of like going off like a little bit of the flames. A very dark background again, like a very black and smoky background with a bit of like yellow tint to the top right corner. And then, you know, slap bang in the middle. It looks a bit wider this time, the actual text. It looks like it's taken the full space of the middle of this cover on this time. And then in the background again you have the dragon, but it's a different look at the dragon. The dragon is also looking in the same direction as her as well, but it's a different shot where it's a bit more of a wider shot this time. You get a full look at this dragon, its big long neck. Kind of looks like this big like dinosaur type lizard, like this dragon. So you get a big, you know, a real good look at this dragon, and you know, again, you get a good feel of what this show is going to be if you're not aware of what this show is, you know, going down. I always think you're going down a HMV wherever your shop is for buying movies. You see this show, you've never heard of it. It's like, what do you get from that? What do you get? And to me, you get medieval, dragons, fantasy. You know what you're going to get with this. I like it. Again, it's very simple. I got to say, though, being honest with you, the House of the Dragon DVD for me is my favourite so far. I just love the look of that, you know, the dragon close up, front facing, centre, and then, you know, the steps going up like the Iron Throne. I think it's a bit darker, even more dark than the second one. So the DVD for me so far is still winning. So now let's take a look at the 4K cover, the 4K steelbook for this. So the 4K steelbook, again, with these steelbooks, they're always a lot different, a bit more effort art-wise going into these. So this one, very different in colours. You got orange and yellow, where yellow really taking the... it's like a fire colour, you know, yellow and orange taking the front seat on this one. You've got like these sort of like textured-looking dragons, kind of like what you'd see on maybe... Do you know, if you have like a tartan print, it would be like this... They're not like dragons per se, they're like sketched out dragons on this cover. And they look really cool. I think it's actually the dragons, what you probably see in the intro titles to House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones. It's kind of like that visual look. The text on this is in the like top right-hand side this time, but very small, the text. Very, very small in comparison to the rest of the covers. You can still see House of the Dragon, but it's, you know, not as large as they'd done. They kind of went for the art look in this one and the art of the dragons. And they went for the colour being a big, you know, selling point to this one. So very different cover to the first two covers. I like this. I'll be honest with you though, I don't think for a steelbook, it's not like... It's not amazing. It's not like... I look at some of these steelbooks and I've seen a few different ones now from doing these these case covers, and for me, you get ones what really do look special. and look like they've really went the extra mile. This one just doesn't feel like it's went the extra mile in creating a piece of art and something special for fans. That is just that extra bit. It just feels a bit, not all there. It's not the best it could be. So, which one is my best? Which one is the winner of this week's edition of Case Cover Collision? I've got to go with the DVD. I'm going to say the DVD because I think it is the most... the text looks great. I think the look of the dragon in the background, I think it just looks perfect for this show. I think it really, pictures everything in a case cover, what this show is for me, and more so than the other ones. And I think the other two are good covers, but for me, the DVD just does it all for me. I think it's great. So this week's winner of Case Cover Collision is House of the Dragon, the DVD case cover. And as I said, if you want to check out them affiliate links, I will link them in below so you can get your pre-orders in on House of the Dragon. Now, anyway, let's move on with the rest of the show.
The Amazon Top 10 is approaching. Prepare yourself. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Amazon Top 10 has arrived.
The Amazon Top 10. Each and every week, Mr. Movie Cheer gives you the bestsellers list on Amazon.co.uk for DVDs, 4Ks, and Blu-rays. And this week, the Ghoulish Mean Cheer, will be doing the very same. Let's go for it. Top 10. Well, first of all, we're going to start off with what was this week's Case Cover Collision, House of the Dragon, the House of the Dragon Season 1 4K Steelbook. That is at number 10. At number 9, we have the Marvel Studios Thor Love and Thunder, the DVD. At number 8, we have Fisherman's Friends 2, One and All. At number 7, again, House of the Dragon Season 1, the DVD is at number 7. At number 6, The Young Ones, the Complete Collection. At number 5, we have Minions, The Rise of Gru. I believe that's a DVD. Number 4, we have Top Gun Maverick, the 4K. Number 3, so that 4 is Top Gun Maverick. Number 4 is the 4K Top Gun Maverick. Number 3, it is Elvis, the DVD. Number 2, we have Downton Abbey, A New Era, and Downton Abbey, The New Era has been knocked off the top spot by Top Gun Maverick, and that is the Blu-ray edition of Top Gun Maverick at number 1. That is the Amazon Top 10 for this week, ladies and gents. Let's move on to the final segment of today's show.
Ooh, what's been on the screen? What's been on the screen?
What's been on the screen? Every week on the show, Mr. Movie Cheer discusses what he has been watching, and I, Mean Cheer, will be discussing this week what I have been watching in Movie Cheer Town when I've been sitting down and watching the TV screen. So, what have I been watching? Well, I did take a trip out of Movie Cheer Town to the local cinema, and I went to see Black Adam, the Rock, Dwayne Johnson movie. And as I said, there is a new post on moviecheerpodcast.com about this movie, but I'm going to just go in a bit more detail with this. What I think of the movie, I suppose spoilers ahead for the movie Black Adam if you've not watched it. Spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Spoilers ahead for Black Adam if you've not seen it. Look, I'll be honest with you, this is like a movie. He's kind of like this anti-hero figure. He has the same sort of powers as Shazam, where he's like, he says Shazam and he gets like this, mega body, this super heavyweight rock body and special powers. And he was like, in ancient times, and he comes then to modern times. He got the Justice Society of America chasing him down. They kind of like bill him as like this baddie character, and he does kill people, but a lot of the people he kills are all baddies. They're all like villains, so he does kill a lot of people, and I get that he does kill people, and he's not like your average superhero. He's not like Superman or who has he's like, no, I don't kill anyone. But he does, I suppose he does kill people, and he's like more of an anti-hero. He's built up as in this, whereas in the comics he's more of like a traditional villain. that's what I discussed in this, movie chair discussed in the blog post this week. I think it would be better suited moving forward having him as the villain for the DC extended universe. But maybe they won't go that route. But I think it'd be great to have The Rock, such a big name, as the main villain. But I enjoyed the movie. I think like some of the highlights, I think like Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate was great. I think he was fantastic in the role. I hope we see a return of him. I like the guy, I don't know the guy who played him, but Hawkman, I thought was really good as well. I think the whole Justice Society of America were really fun to watch on screen. But yeah, The Rock was brilliant though. I mean, that guy just looks like a superhero. I'm a big wrestling fan, just like Movie Cheer, and big rock fan, and he is just absolutely massive, that guy. He's like a tank. He's a tank with legs. He's just absolutely massive. And man, he must eat a lot of food in the day. He must eat a lot. But yeah, he looked the part. I love the costume. Look, it didn't break any new ground as a superhero movie goes. It was just a very average superhero movie, really. Nothing. It wasn't like a bad one. It wasn't like I watched the Eternals and I thought that was just wasn't for me. And it wasn't like an Iron Man 3, which is absolute trash. But for me, it was just the middle of the road one. It didn't. I felt like for years this movie was talked about for years, and I thought we were going to see something a bit more special. We didn't see it. And I think it was built up really, like, there was a big build, and it felt like it was going to be more to this, but it wasn't really anything special. I think it's done really good numbers, and, kudos to The Rock and the whole team behind it, but it wasn't like a Dark Knight. It wasn't a groundbreaking movie for me personally, but some people may feel different. But I think what it does well is it's like this new start for the DC Extended Universe now. It feels like that. Them bringing Henry Cavill back in the post-credit scene is a big point of this, where it felt like he was done. And apparently they filmed it like in September. He's seen it, so it was really like late in the day when they got him in to do that scene with Black Adam, and he meets up with Black Adam, and he's like, "Let's talk, Black Adam," and it's like the tease of maybe a potential Black Adam versus Superman movie later down the line, and I think that was cool. But I think it feels like this is like the start of a new DC Extended Universe, and especially with the news coming out this week that James Gunn now is going to be taking over with that guy from one of them. Is it like some of them? If it's The Conjuring, is it something like he's a guy from like one of them horror series? They're going to be the new heads of DC's like extended universe, the movie films and stuff like that. I think you are going to see now a new DC, and this is going to be this like with the likes of the Peacemaker show, the new Suicide Squad, Henry Cavill coming back for a new Superman movie potentially, and I mean, who knows what's going to happen with the Batman? Are we going to have multiple Batmans? Who knows at this point? But I think in that point where it wasn't the best movie ever, but it felt like this is like a new slate. This is a new character, a new universe, a bunch of new heroes in there. And I think for that point alone, it worked really well. And I like that what they did with things with that. Another one I want to talk about as well this week, the new Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania trailer dropped. And apparently this was one that came out at Comic-Con a few months ago. And the trailer was set to Goodbye Yellow Brick Road by Elton John. And you get that song hitting in, and then it goes in like this orchestral version. And I thought like that song wouldn't go with this sort of movie, but it's surprising what they can do with songs and trailers, because the song fitted superbly well. And basically they're going into the quantum realm in this film, and it looks really cool. It reminds me of it looks like it's going to be the Thor Ragnarok of Ant-Man movies, this one. I really like the Ant-Man movies. I think they're really fun. But yeah, if it's got that sort of like Ragnarok, sort of Star Wars-y feel when they go to the quantum realm, it felt like that for me watching the trailer. And we get a good look of Jonathan Majors, Kang the Conqueror in this, and we see him having dialogue with Ant-Man as well, and he looked great in the role. I think he's going to be superb in that role. You get a full look of his comic book accurate look, and I love it, and I'm really excited for that. I'm looking forward to that movie, and the trailer was just solid, absolute solid trailer. Certain trailers really popped with me. I think like the Ragnarok ones really popped. I remember, I always go back to this one, the Force Awakens trailers, they were amazing. But certain trailers, I think, movie trailers nowadays, only certain ones really pop with me. And I think if they got a good mix of, good footage and good teasers, but not showing too much. And it felt like it didn't show too much of it. It was like them going into the quantum realm, get sucked into the quantum realm. And the story looks like it's how did they survive? How did they get out of the quantum realm? And Kang the Conqueror is like, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? I think he's going to be the villain of the piece here, but maybe he works with them for some certain point in this movie, or he's trying to help them, but he's got other motives maybe. But yeah, I really like this movie trailer, and I'm looking forward to that film. It comes out in February next year. So that's what's been on the screen this week, and that is it for another show, and that is it for the Movie Cheer Podcast Halloween Special 2022. And if you enjoyed this show today, please do give it a like and check out the rest of the movie-related content on the channel. If you're listening to this on a podcast app of your choice, please do leave a 5-star review, and all reviews will get read out on the show. And to that point as well, I actually have a review for the show here, and this is a review from August, so I'm just going to get the review up here, ladies and gents. So this is, I do apologise, and if I've spoken to this person. This comes from Ben, aka Rider Rated 18. Ben has been on the channel a few times before. He's got an awesome Laserdisc collection of movies as well. Check him out on Instagram. He's got a absolutely awesome Instagram page, Ben, and he's a top guy as well, but he's been on the channel a few times. Ben posted this in August on iTunes, in the Apple Podcast app. Fun listen for fans of movies, and he put an ideal podcast that explores many aspects of movies by someone who loves what they do. Well, I'll tell you what, I am the Ghoulish Mean Cheer, Ben. I do not love movies, and I do not love what I do, but I tell you what, who does? Mr. Movie Cheer. As much as I can't stand that guy, Movie Cheer does love movies, and I spoke to Movie Cheer, and he said, he spoke to you, and he said thank you, and he appreciates it. But me, Mean Cheer, I do not appreciate any podcast comments or anything. But if you want to leave them, Movie Cheer does appreciate them. Well, yeah, any more reviews, let's get them in, and they will get read out on the show. And if you're listening to this watching this on YouTube as well, please do get in the comments and let me know your thoughts on today's show's topic. Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, The Fog. What do you think of them movies? Have you watched them movies? Let me know all your thoughts. What movies will you be watching this Halloween, ladies and gents? Let me know all of your thoughts on today's show topics. Remember my name. I am the Ghoulish Mean Cheer. And I will see you again sometime soon for some more Movie Cheer. Happy Halloween.